All right. Today we're going to finish our lesson, which we began a couple of days ago, talking about the scientific process and specifically looking at how scientists go about testing a hypothesis, a question that they want to answer with an experiment, and then finding information based on that experiment, and then making conclusions from those experiments. We're going to go one step further today, and from conclusions, sometimes scientists make recommendations, right? So for example, in the psychological experiments we looked at yesterday, the gorilla in the video, do you remember? So what did they find out? What were the findings of the experiment of the gorilla in the video? How did the viewers react to the gorilla? What were the findings, Mulkeso?
Yeah, the finding was like our minds only focus on one thing at a time.
Okay, our minds focus on only one thing at a time. No? So what's the conclusion? Well, sorry, the findings were that most of the participants did not see the gorilla. Right? And the conclusion is that most human minds can focus on only one thing at a time. Welcome, Dilek and Hamdi. Could you explain to your seatmates what's happening so that they're not worried and what this is about? All right. So that's the conclusion. Is that useful?
Yes.
Is that useful to know?
Yes.
That most human minds can focus on only one thing at a time. Is that useful to know? For whom? Who would find that useful? People who can focus on one thing at a time? Yeah. So the conclusion is that most human minds can only focus on one thing at a time. If they do more than one thing,
They're gonna mess up.
they get messed up. They can't focus. They can't concentrate. No? So who is that useful for? This idea of concentrating, focusing, attention, who is that useful for, Anita?
For the individuals around them,
For?
individuals around them, or the people that deal with.
What sort of individuals? What specific individual? Would it be useful, for example, for students? Would it be useful for students to know that finding? Cobra.
For example, for parents and teachers, it's very important because when parents must have either if the child a task, the task should be simple and one task at the moment, not two tasks or three tasks because children have managed their mind about this and messed up everything and sometimes parents think that, oh, you don't want to do this, but it's not correct because he or she couldn't focus on that task, two tasks at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for some children need more focus, need more time for doing that, and they give the children only one page, only one task at the time, and after that give another or second one.
Mm-hmm.
It's for learning or teaching or for memorizing everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Cobra's given us how many examples? She's given us 2 examples, right? Parents and teachers, right? So it's useful for parents to know this finding that our minds can only focus on one thing at a time. So what would be a recommendation then? What would this study recommend for teachers based on Cobra's example? So if the human mind can only focus on one thing at a time, what should teachers do? Firdevs.
To prioritize
To
the tasks.
prioritize tasks. All right. What else? Jade?
Give too much homework before the exam.
Don't give it too much. Okay, homework days before they give only one homework. Okay. Give only one homework. Yeah, no, absolutely, right? What else? Anything else? What should teachers do knowing that human minds can only focus on one thing at a time? Maybe give instructions, right? One at a time. Don't give all the instructions. Don't give 10 instructions. Give it one at a time. Hannah, you want to add to that?
Same thing, I
Yeah.
said one at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to look at how do we give recommendations. No?